This is Neil King for Random Acts of Cartooning at the Academy of Natural Sciences at Drexel University. And I'm going to go through their great gallery and draw a dinosaur, which I've done many times before. But first, okay, everyone, the influence for this episode is Mark Schultz for the Xenozoic files. Really top-rate illustrator. And I'm using him on this one because he really loves all kinds of dinosaurs. And he used them in this kind of throwback style. I think so beautiful. All that naturalism. He's really interested in all of it. And I think it's this is why I also really love drawing dinosaurs and all kinds of things like that. And he uses them throughout. He's obviously does these, beautiful illustrations of women and that kind of, to me, like a Flash Gordon style, throwback thing. He does all kinds of things with these characters. But very interested in naturalism. But I love his dinosaurs, right? He does all these figure work. Beautiful stuff. It's a great little book, just of sketches and all kinds of things that he does for commissions and everything. But look how interested he is in some of the stuff to make it seem more real. I love all of it. And it's just like he touches into it, so within his comics. Look how naturalistic his figures are too. He's really, really interested in how the light serves the piece. So beautiful. But at the heart of it, loves dinosaurs. Look at how beautiful these images are. All right. So Mark Schultz, one of the greats. Just various drawings. I have other things I'll show of his later on, but one of my favorite artists to be inspired by. So here I am at the Academy of Natural Sciences. This is in Philadelphia, and it is a great museum. I've been to many times with my family. The great thing about it is that when you walk through the galleries, you can just see such a variety of different things. And I'll try to go through the museum many times and do some different episodes. But for this one, I'm focusing in on this specific one, and it's really nicely displayed. I like how they do some of the modern displays now, or even it's just skeletal parts to it. But you get the sense that this dinosaur is walking. So for me, at this point, I'm just getting my proportions down. I'm looking to see where certain parts of it are going to go. And as I go through, I'm establishing some of the darkest areas around those eyes and just trying to get a little bit of a nice impression from the very start of this specific piece. Again, as you look at an image like this, it's all just trying to find the sense of making something look a little rounded. And I tend to squint my eyes when I'm looking at something to find the darkest areas first. And when I do that, it establishes to me, like right away, the variety of value that you can get when you're drawing something, even if it's just a quick study like this with my Bic pen and my sketchbook. So I may tighten up some of this stuff as I go through, but I'm just looking back and forth and still seeing, I'm like, am I right with this? Is this too big or too small, a certain section? But again, the beauty of just being able to get this close to something is what I really do like. And when you visit the Academy, you'll see so many of those kind of dioramas that they have of different types of animals or species that may or may not be around anymore. Some are extinct, but some of them are just bringing you into a whole different world. So with this, drawing anything, I do love to draw any kind of things like this. Like I like drawing bones and rocks and things like that. But when you can draw a dinosaur, that's really kind of for a cartoonist, and a whole lot of cartoonists do like to draw dinosaurs. This is just another example of, to me, it's almost like science fiction. You're drawing something that's it's not around anymore, and to be able to draw it, I see them almost like as a living thing, like this specific skeleton. So here I am again. I'm just looking at all the proportions, just trying to keep everything in line. Now the thing about this and the angle that I'm on, it does kind of recede back. So you have to keep your eye on all that kind of stuff. But what I'm doing now is just blotting out all the darker parts and using a little bit of hatching. And whenever you do all that kind of thing, that you just have to make sure that when you're doing it, it's doing it in the hopes that the front parts here around the eyes and all that stuff are coming out as if they're in front of the others. So again, I'm just touching up some of these areas, and the head in itself it's a major part of this, because for my kind of, if you think of it as a design, that's where your eye is going to go first, and then, like I say, it'll recede backwards as I put the rest of the rib cage and all that kind of stuff in. So I'm moving across here, and I'm getting close to kind of getting most of that head done. So I keep looking at it back and forth, and I am really lucky to be able I'm just about 3 or 4 feet away from the specific skeleton. But with this image, I'm showing you the actual image in itself. You can see how nicely lit it is from below. So I'm trying to get that in. And whenever you're working on like something like this, you just keep going and moving around the whole piece. You don't have to just stick to one section and feel like it's done. And by looking away, I think sometimes it really does help me almost view it again, like it's as if I've walked away from it. By doing something else in a different area, it really does help me focus again. Again, I'm just trying to get all my proportions. I looked at how the head is compared to where the rest of that body is. And again, because it's receding backwards, that foreshortening, it just makes it seem like as if it's walking towards us. And I think that's when they constructed this. They didn't want it just to seem like it was a skeleton, just hanging around. This gives the audience a different viewpoint of how this animal would have moved at the time of when it was around, even though you don't see all the flesh and all the stuff about it. So I guess it's more dynamic, and I think that's why people really do love going to certain museums like this. And I've been to many natural science museums across the country and in Europe, and I always feel like our Academy of Natural Sciences is just a really top-rate museum. It's evolved a lot from where it had begun. Apparently it was founded in 1812, so it's been around for some time, and it's just all about the natural world. So they're just trying to show people who have never seen something like this. Imagine little kids coming in, and I remember my own daughter looking at some of these things when I brought her through, is that it really moves your imagination to be able to see some of these like spectacular things that we just can't believe were here far earlier than when men started walking the planet. So again, I'm moving in. I'm trying to find some of these things. Now remember, it's constructed. There's wires on this thing to keep it all in parts. There's metal parts around it. So for me, at this point, I'm just laying in. Here I'm getting into the rib cage at this point. So I'm just trying to keep it proportioned. I'm counting how many ribs. I'm mostly going to be close. Again, I don't want to overthink it. And being a cartoonist, I will always simplify things And this just shows, again, like, this is something I can't make up out of my head. So it's so important for me to go and view something like this right in front of something, instead of just making it up from a picture or something. And as you know, I am a working cartoonist. So this is one of my graphic novels, Shock, set in the 1970s, where we used to have our creature features. And he was a host in the Philly area, in the region. And he just would be the host of these kind of old style Universal films. So I made a whole story about him, not the actual man, but what I thought this guy would have been like in real life. And it's just an idea that I'd had for a long time, but a lot of fun, a lot of local celebrities. If you're interested in any of those kinds of things from the 70s television, this is the book for you. Shock. All right, I've put in most of the ribs that I can see on the side, so now it's just all the little details. Again, I'm just trying to get some of them. I don't feel like I'm that interested in trying to get down to every specific bone that's there, but it's important for certain areas like the pelvis or different things that make all the rest of it work. So I just keep looking back and forth, trying to find all of that where things are starting to connect. So even between those ribs, I have to it'll give it a little bit more feeling of reality if I just establish it a little bit back there. So you do get a sense that there's something behind or through that rib cage. So it's not just straight ribs that come down there. It's so I'm trying to put all that in there as we go through. It's a great museum for many reasons, beyond the fact that it's, there's a lot of education that goes on, and there's all kinds of classes they bring in schools. When I was there were kids who were just walking through with their parents and everything. But it is great to be able to go to something like this, because it's not just something in a case that you walk past. By being able to walk around them, you can interact with it a little bit more. And again, I really do, I do appreciate having all these things in our city. I'm right outside of Philadelphia. So I do like going around and sketching in these kind of places. And like I say, I'll try to do a few episodes where I'm doing some different things. It's hard in some of the galleries because it can be very dark. And to film it, it makes it a little more difficult. But this, the light is right above me. And so you can see everything pretty clearly, even though I'm just standing there and trying with a little tripod to try to get this all done. Now I'm getting closer and closer to the end. I'm just going to establish that the tail will be coming in. Again, it recedes in the back, so I don't want to put too much focus on it so that it takes away from the front. I do feel like the head is the big thing there, and I'm going to establish those lines a little stronger with some hatching and a stronger line around it, and just try to make sure that as I finish up the parts that you do get that sense of a little bit of movement. And I feel like I've caught the foreshortening with this, and even with the bones of the feet and all the stuff. To me it's just like I'm putting them in, but I'm not really over worried about making it all exactly how it really is, because there's so many bones in there. These are all like the touch-ups at the end. It's the thing about working in pen. You have to accept the fact that sometimes you've put too much or too strong of a line in, and it can affect the whole piece. Lots of little details. So I'm coming down to the end, and I'm just going to establish maybe a little shadow to push the drama of you moving across it. So I appreciate everyone taking their time to come and watch me draw over at the Academy of Natural Sciences. And as always, I'm hoping you're liking and subscribing so that more people can watch some of these episodes out there and will be drawn to some of the other things that I'm doing. So again, finishing up these last parts, and can't wait to get back again and go to one of the other galleries and do another episode. Thanks, and we'll see you again soon.
Literally just